Thank you, General Lee. Representative Moskowitz, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The assassination attempt against President Trump on July 13th was a chilling moment in our country's history. This task force is committed to ensuring that security failures on July 13th never happen again. We thank you for being here, gentlemen, to help provide the task force transparency and answers to the American people. There were a host of issues with planning and execution of the July 13th rally, including communications failures. I'm familiar with communications issues. As the former Director of Emergency Management for Florida, I was the first emergency management agency to institute FirstNet for everyone in my emergency management agency and all of our CERT components. Additionally, I helped establish the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission after a shooting at my high school in Parkland, which also had radio throttling and cell phone issues, major communication issues where police departments couldn't talk to each other even though they were at the same site. Sergeant Lentz, were there cell phone issues on July 13th, and if so, what were they?
There certainly were. As more and more people started to arrive, it seemed that cell phone communications started to fail. I do have my cell service through FirstNet, so throughout the entire rally, I was able to make phone calls and send messages. But even in the command post, we were operating a mobile CAD and also a mobile radio platform that didn't have enough signal to actually operate. So we switched back to just using portable radios.
Right. And just for the edification of people watching at home, following the communication failures on September 11th, 2001, the 9/11 Commission recommended the creation of a nationwide communications network that would include priority and preemption capabilities for our first responders. FirstNet was AT&T, Frontline was Verizon, and those plans allow priority and preemption capabilities for first responders to prevent that sort of thing. And so, Sergeant Lentz, to your knowledge, did any law enforcement personnel who had access to FirstNet or Frontline on July 13th report issues with their cell phones? So Frontline or FirstNet people, did they have any issues?
To my knowledge, no, they worked the entire time. My pictures were a little bit slower to send, but they did go through.
Yeah. Which members of local law enforcement can access Frontline or FirstNet? Do local law enforcement departments provide those?
I do not know. So mine is actually my personal phone that I set up through FirstNet.
Right, so you have to pay for that yourself?
Yes.
To have priority to make sure you can communicate?
Yes.
Right, okay. At the July 13th event, a local sniper sent pictures of the shooter to other local law enforcement officers approximately 45 minutes before the shooting at 5:34 p.m. While some officers received those pictures, several law enforcement officers reported that they did not receive those photos of crooks due to connection issues. Sergeant Lentz, our understanding is that everyone who had FirstNet was able to receive the pictures of crooks. Is it your understanding as well?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, were the local law enforcement officers on the ground in Butler on July 13th that had FirstNet or Frontline, were any of those unable to receive it?
Not that I've heard.
Okay. Would all local law enforcement having access to FirstNet or Frontline help improve communication issues at major events, in your opinion?
Yes. It's long been known that when you get a very, very large crowd of people, the cell system can only handle so much. At the 2020 rally, there was actually a FirstNet truck, I believe, that had been driven there and deployed as an additional cell tower. And I do not believe that occurred at this rally. But it does seem that the FirstNet is a very, very good option to make sure we have cell phone capabilities.
Right. So I just want to think about it, right? So the 9/11 Commission recognized this in 2001. We created a solution, and yet it's 2024, and we're still not implementing that solution at the highest levels of our security agencies to keep former presidents safe, for law enforcement on the ground who are a part of that, for Secret Service who is a part of that. And so, we don't have to sit here and come up with a solution. They did it in 2001. Why has it taken so long to implement the solution? And so, the chairman said something that's totally true. People in this country absolutely should have a right to go to a rally, right, and listen to their president or candidate of choice and come home. By the way, parents should have the right to send their kids to school in this country, right, and for them to come home as well. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.
I thank the gentleman. Now recognize the chairman of Homeland Security, Chairman Green, 5 minutes.